Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Joe Braymeyer Presents right here on Facebook and also Treadmill Heroes on YouTube. We are here in the brand new podcast studio right here in the 52778, right here in Wilton, Iowa. And I couldn't think of a better guest to have in here, my good pal, Jeremy Tatman. Well, becoming my good pal. We're starting to get to know each other a little bit. And you're the first one in here that, well, and not only are you the first guest here in the new podcast studio, built by Joe Ragatz, by the way, but you're the first guest I have had on the show that is not a Wiltonite, which is pretty exciting. So we're branching out. If somebody came to me and said, who the heck is Jeremy Tatman, I'm going to give them what I would tell them, and then maybe we can set the record straight or add to it. Jeremy Tatman is heavily involved in the big Coram Deo Church on 53rd Avenue, right? The old Best Buy. Used to be a Best Buy back in the day. Yep. Jeremy is a family man. He does mission work. And he is the owner of the Chick-fil-A, the big boy on 53rd, with all the pretty Christmas lights and all the action right there during the Christmas year. And there's never not a line at the drive-thru. So you must be doing something right. And you also are somewhat of you dabble in collecting things and different things like that I do too. So when you and I first met a couple months back, actually it's probably been a year now, from the first time you came in, I was like, man, I'd love to have that guy on and kind of figure out everything Jeremy Tatman. So good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Beautiful spot.
Yeah, it turned out really well. So you tell me, if I went to all the people that know you on a personal level and I said, who is Jeremy Tatman, what do you think they'd say?
I'm not sure. And I think that might make me a little nervous if you were to ask people that. Yeah. What I hope they would say is that I'm a follower of Christ, that I have a family of 4 children and a wife and love them, and that I want to do whatever we've been blessed with is only in spite of me. It is not something that I've done. I'm either using gifts that God has given me, or it is just pure blessings. And so I then want to use those to help bless others. And so my biggest passion is helping develop people and helping them become who God created them to be. So that's what I would hope people would say is, follower of Christ, family man, and someone who just loves developing people and growing people. That is my biggest passion. And that's what led us, 6 years ago to start a nonprofit ministry called Lives of Legacy. We created that just because we saw a whole section of society being marginalized. And so basically, if you have someone who has been incarcerated or someone who's had a bad, raised in a bad situation, a lot of people give up on those individuals really quickly. And I see the potential. I know they're still image bearers of God. I know that they're still created for value and purpose, and that our society needs them, and we need them to be engaged and not marginalized. And so that's what I hope people would say about me, but I'm not sure.
Let's whittle that down. Somebody grows up in a bad home situation, bad parent scenario, whatever it is. There's probably quite a bit of poverty mixed in there. And then all of a sudden they become a teenager, they start to run in a friend circle, and like attracts like. And so then all of a sudden they find themselves getting into some trouble, struggling in school, crime is next, and then they might go to jail or prison, and then they get out, and it's like, now what? Right. And is that where you guys come in?
So we hope this all started because I started noticing probably about 10 years ago, employees acting different than I was expecting them. We would be
at Chick-fil-A.
We'd be challenging them on something, and we'd be trying to grow them, and they wouldn't show up the next day at work. And we're like, what? Why? Like, we love you, we care about you, so we're trying to grow you.
Trying to coach you.
And they were like, no. They were in fight or flight mode. And so we just realized there was so much more going on beneath the surface than we ever recognized. And so we started looking at, all right, well, how can we help individuals figure out their worth and value? And so we started something, my buddy of mine turned me on to Gallup Strengths Finder. And have you ever heard of that, Gallup Strengths Finder?
No.
It's a personality test, and it's pretty widely used, and you do this test, and it'll show you your top 5 strengths. And so we're able to do that, and we're able to say, hey, here's gifts that you have. And most of our best strengths, most of what makes us unique and special, feels very ordinary and boring to us. It's just we're naturally good at it. We naturally have that bent. We don't think the world needs that because it's just second nature to us. So we don't think it's unique and valuable. Well, this test helps you realize that it is valuable, it is needed, and then we help try to connect the dots where what could that dream job end up being where you can use those gifts every day. So my number one strength is competitiveness. I get to use that every day when things are going well and when things are going really, really bad. And I had to learn a lot about myself because even when things go bad, I can turn my competitiveness off. So how do I use my gift, that strength that I have, well, and allow it to really help me and propel me forward? So we started doing that with our team. We started doing Gallup Strengths Finder and just showing them, hey, here's what gifts you have, and here's how you can use it in the restaurant. We need you to use your gifts here today. And they would start using that. And then we started expanding it and started doing it with more kids in poverty. We did a lot of our work started at the Juvenile Detention Center, where we're still there and operating. And the Scott County Juvenile Detention, they have 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds. They have kids at an extremely young age. And a lot of times, individuals who have gotten involved in some bad situations, most often they don't realize that they have a gift. They don't realize that the world needs them. So they're acting worthless because they feel worthless. We did Gallup Strengths Finder with one of my employees who was 34 years old, and she started crying, and it made me cry. She started crying and goes, this is the first time anyone's told me I'm good at something. Man. Like, okay, well, kind of makes sense why you dealt with addiction. Kind of made sense why you were incarcerated for a while. Kind of made sense. And so as we started pouring into her value, all of a sudden she started showing up really, really well. So we're doing it because we feel like it's the right thing to do. We feel like we're called to do it, but it does have a business benefit as well. There is it hits my P&L somewhere. I don't know. I can't start to quantify it, but I guarantee you we are running better. We are making more money and more profitable because we are treating our team that way.
Well, that makes sense. And I want to continue talking about that. But if we could just pause that, because when I go to that Chick-fil-A, not when I go to Chick-fil-A, when I go to your Chick-fil-A, everyone is just pleasant. Now, everyone has bad days. They're stressed out. They're probably mumbling under their breath. But in general, it just feels different in there. And it doesn't matter if I'm talking to the 16-year-old or the young kid in there, or if I'm talking to the 34-year-old person in there or the 40-year-old. They're all pleasant. And you have a good experience when you're in there. Not only a good one, but a great one, because the bar, sadly, the bar is so low for customer service these days. And I feel like what you're taking is you have raised the bar to where it just should be for a standard, and then all your people are up here. They're just up there a little bit. And because that doesn't come from Jeremy Tatman running around wiping off tables in there and, taking care of customers at the counter. You've got to rely on everybody else to do that. And isn't it sad that so many people out there have never had a soul take the time to say, let's just figure out how you operate so we can figure out how to make the machine run better. Right. And that's essentially what you're doing, right?
Yeah, where do you fit in the machine? Everyone fits somewhere. We just got to figure out where you sit. So sometimes we have people that we often use the analogy of, we want to make sure you're in the right seat on the bus, right? Some people come in, we're like, we don't want you on our Chick-fil-A bus. Like you don't even, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to kick you out. Some people were like, okay, we want you on the bus. We just gotta spend some time figuring out where you go. We have one leader who, if she does something outside of her normal job descriptions and goes into a more stressful environment, she's a monster. Oh man, like you don't want to be around her. But then if you put her in her sweet spot, she's phenomenal. So she took us about probably 2 years to really work on, because we knew we wanted her on the bus, but we just didn't know what seat to put her on. And so it took us a while to kind of figure it out. But Yeah, some people we try to not even involve them on the bus, but those are harder decisions. But it's fun to figure out where they fit. That's more entertaining and definitely more fulfilling for me.
I want that test. You'll send that to me, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a link I can get plugged in with. And I think just as you mature as a business owner and you just get a little bit older, you start to realize, like, instead of, well, it's the old practice, right? You get two people in front of each other and you say, put your hands together. And I tell you, no matter what, don't let our hands separate. And if I want to get you to go 10 feet back, the natural thing is to try to push you back. Where if all I do is just turn around and walk backwards and the practice is don't let our hands come apart, you're going to follow me and we're going to get there. And I think that's what this thing does, is like, help me understand how you operate so we can drive you wherever we need to take you.
Yeah, 100%. That's a good analogy.
So you're dealing with a lot. Do you deal more with this? Do I call it a missionary or this mission work where you're working with these juveniles and everything? Like, what do I call this thing?
It's a nonprofit ministry.
It's a nonprofit ministry, and you keep saying we. Who's all involved in this?
I don't know. So yeah, we have a handful of volunteers. We have probably about 20 volunteers, a board of directors of that kind of runs things, and we've really tried our best to have pastors be on the board. That just protects me. I don't want the ministry ever to be a Jeremy thing. I don't want it to ever be something that revolves around me, or if I were to fail, the ministry could fail. So I want men that can help support me and help keep me up and hold me accountable and make sure that I'm growing well. And then we have 2 full-time staff people. So that was our second hire was last year. We added a second employee on, and we have aspirations for 4 over at Lives of Legacy. So,
but you started this.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I know that you're humble, because you keep saying we, right? If somebody else just started it, it'd be like me, or I, and it's not. It's we. And even though because you're looking at this not from, correct me if I'm wrong, not just from a we as in the people that are running it, but the people that are in the program that you're helping, they're part of the we too.
Yeah, for sure. And so we found the biggest need that we find is jobs and employment. And so we started trying to partner with Christian business owners. Can you help us employ people if we get them to you? And we challenge them when we are kind of partnering with another business owner. We don't want you to lower the standard at all. We want you to keep a high standard, but can you have a little more grace with them, a little more patience with them? Still hold that standard, but Christians have been given a lot of grace, and so we think that they're prepared to be able to do this well. And it's been really neat to kind of figure out where someone's gifts are and say, hey, would you consider this person? And we don't ever force any employee on someone else, but we ask, and the people that are partnered with us are able to at least promise them an interview and give them a shot. Part of our curriculum is 20 weeks long, and part of the curriculum is preparing them for employment better. What do employers want? And so when you ask one of our individuals, what does an employer want from an employee? Oftentimes they don't understand the number one thing is a teachable spirit and a positive attitude. Like they go right to the job skill that they think they need, right? Like, oh, I have to be this or I have to be that. It's like, we can teach you. I mean, I can teach almost anyone how to make fries. I can do that pretty quickly. I can't teach you character real quick. I mean, that's a longer process. And so if you come with a teachable spirit, you come in with a good attitude, man, we can teach you anything. I mean, that's a home run.
What's the name of the ministry?
Lives of Legacy.
I'm assuming there's a website out there, or
livesoflegacy.com, Facebook page, and yeah.
We'll have to follow Lives of Legacy, and who's ever watching this now or later, make sure to give them a follow. And to me, from a business owner standpoint, you and your ministry is a valuable resource because you've already vetted these people. You're meeting with them. You're working with them. You're doing the personality tests. You're trying to figure out like what makes them tick. And then you're building this roster essentially of people that, hey, from what we can tell, this person's had a rocky road, but deep down in there, there's some real good. And I just think these people need a shot. And if you're partner, and there again, like attracts like. So if you're partnering with other business owners where your ministry is going, you know what, that operation seems to like they have good intentions and this person has good intentions. Let's just figure out how to make the recipe work.
Yeah.
And then they get a great employee potentially that they don't have to take a big gamble on a massive salary or big payroll right out of the gate. It's like, hey, this person wants to earn it. Give them a shot, put them on the field and see what they can do.
Right, for sure.
There needs to be 100 of these things out there, or at least one big one.
We love it. It's been good for us. And it's also been good for our team to understand at Chick-fil-A that we are a part of something bigger, that when we're making money and we're making profit, everyone sees it as a cash cow, right? And so when they see that, hey, we are using this for our community, we want to help others. We're not trying to become rich. We're trying to serve our community as best as possible. It really helps their relationship with us last a lot longer. It endears them to us. They realize it, and then they can participate in it. For the first year of Lives of Legacy, we didn't have any bank account. We just operated out of Chick-fil-A. And, Chick-fil-A volunteered. We fed the students. We started at the old YMCA downtown, in downtown Davenport. And it was, kids were playing basketball. They gave us a little room, and we would have free Chick-fil-A twice a week. And they would come in and be like, hey, you want to come over here? And then here's our curriculum. And then we'd take groups of 3 to 5 and go through our content with them. And it was just, some days on holidays, it really shook a lot of our team, shook me on a lot of the holidays where there's not free lunch or reduced lunch for these kids. When we were feeding them at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, it was the first time they'd eaten that day.
Oof.
And so you hear that. Having my kids serve with us, having my team serve with us, it really helps any kind of spoiled nature, any kind of you feeling more valuable than you are. Like, it humbles you real quick when you see the real world. There's a lot of hurting out there, and we can do something about it.
So you've thought a year, 2, 3 down the road, where do you see this thing going? Like, when does Jeremy sit back and go, man, this thing's cooking now. This thing's cooking with gas.
So right now I'm not a salesman like that. If you were to do my strengths, nothing on there would say sales. I am embarrassed of it. I did Cutco knives. Remember Cutco knives? You ever do those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I did that in college, and my parents paid, $500-$600 for the whole set. And they tell you, start off with your family. So I got my Aunt Susie. Aunt Susie, can I do this presentation with you? I went to her townhome in Schaumburg, Illinois, and did that. And I was like, oh, heck no.
Had some friends in the living room. and
never do this again. Oh,
yeah.
So I've got some good Cutco knives now. They are a really good product, but
they're vintage.
I've never, ever sold to one person because I can't do that. So all that to say, I can't fundraise. So we have someone who is helping us figure that out. And so if ever there's a deficit in the budget or anything like that, it's always just God provides and we figure it out. But I think for us, for it to be in 3 or 4 years larger, it to have more impact, more churches. We had a couple of churches that have used our curriculum, not even us, just our curriculum for their youth group. Another one for their outreach program. When they have new people come in, it's more of like a discipleship program. And so we want to share it. If anyone who wants our curriculum can have it. I mean, we want you to use it as you see fit. And so I think just larger, more influence, more salvations, obviously. I want more people coming to Christ. And that's happening in the jail. We are in East Moline Correctional. Next month, we're meeting with Rock Island to see if we can start in their facility. And people are excited. They just love hearing that there's an alternative.
For sure. Because even in a jail, for example, which, by the way, we just outfitted Rock Island County Jail's fitness center, and it turned out great. But anyway, even in a jail, I firmly believe that the employees of the jail, the correctional officers, the administrative people, they don't want to just throw people in a hole and just treat them like an animal. They don't want them in there in a good way, in a wholesome way, meaning you shouldn't be in here. You're a human being just like me. I get to go home at night. You're right here. How do we figure out a way to get you out there to enjoy this beautiful life? God gave everybody this life, right? And it's sad that through, in many cases, bad circumstances just played. And it was just like deuce seven, every hand. It's like, can I just get dealt a pair of jacks that I can maybe play the hand? And this is that pair of jacks.
So my close friend, so I started Chick-fil-A when I was 14 years old. I started working, and my manager at the time was a guy named Casey. And he was 17 at the time, someone I immediately looked up to. You're starting your first job and you're prepubescent. Like I was a baby, chubbier than I am now. Like it was a good deal. But I started there, and when I worked there, I found out that Casey's mom had died of a brain aneurysm, and he had found her dead when he was a little younger. And at 17, he closed down Chick-fil-A one night, went home, and his dad had died of a heart attack. And so by 17, both his parents were dead. He's living in a trailer. His grandmother is his only family. Fast forward a few years later, he goes to college. I go to college. We kind of separate, don't hear from him. I start pursuing Chick-fil-A and go down that road. I get a letter from a jail in Oklahoma saying that he is from him. And he explains it to me. He says, "I've never really liked you." I was like, "Oh, well, I went to your dad's funeral. I looked up to you like an all-star." He's like, "But everything came easy to you, and everything was so hard for me." And there wasn't an ounce in that moment where I thought, "Well, I'm smarter. I'm this. I'm that." It was, I had two parents who loved the crap out of me.
Right.
They loved me. They told me they'd never get divorced. They fought like crazy, but they promised they'd never get divorced. And so my rebellion was embarrassing. Like I'd be embarrassed to say compare rebellion.
Yeah.
Because I had their family and the legacy they were leaving was a magnet back to the right, back to being correct. Whereas he didn't have that. So he's still responsible for what he did. And he's now out working in Houston, doing very successful. We had lunch maybe a year and a half ago. Good man, like on the right track. God is using him. But that just showed me at a very young age, when you either have a good legacy or you don't. You're either born with one or you're not. And so the answer isn't for me to say, I need to help other people realize what a good legacy can be and help them terminate their bad legacy. So part of our curriculum is writing a letter to your parents and saying, here's all the good I inherited from you, and here's all the bad I'm not going to carry on. And you have we do this with youth groups where you have the kids are like, it's like 99% good and a couple like things they want to sharpen with their parents. You do this in some other circles, and I learned I will never abandon my family. I'll never be like my dad. I'll never do this. But kids and young adults need to let go of that burden, the legacy they've inherited. Otherwise, they're going to perpetuate it. And so often, without even knowing, you just become what you inherited. You become your mom, you become your dad, and that can be great, and it can also be terrible. And so just helping people identify how to terminate a bad legacy, that's the best revenge. That's good revenge that you can get on someone, saying, hey, Dad, I had all this abuse, but it's not going to carry on. It dies with you. My children will never have to deal with this. And so we just love helping people identify how to let go of that, because you are right. Some people have just a bad situation they're dealt with, and it's awful. And so how can we help them know there's a better way?
How do you get the word out? I got to imagine there's a bunch of businesses and organizations that would love to have somebody that's just hungry to try, to say, you know what, if I can go to a place of work where I feel safe and the people there are friendly and at least just nice to me, and I'm given an opportunity to swing the bat, I have to imagine there's a ton of businesses out there. I mean, have you guys talked about how to how do you get the word out to these people?
We're doing a video. We hired a videographer helping us. Social media is just not our thing. So we're not gifted in that area. And so we're leveraging it now, finding some people that are gifted in that and that can help us make videos, share content, and help get the word out. We hope to grow, and we hope to grow for the right reasons, not for, we have 2 employees and everyone else is voluntary. Like no one's taking big salaries. And it's just, we're not going to do it. Some other organizations, some other ministries, they're so top heavy with labor, with high paid individuals that it makes it hard for
the expensive admin that come in.
Money to get to the actual people. We're the opposite. We are so bottom heavy. It just, all the money goes to the volunteers that are serving.
That's fantastic. I'm just letting it marinate for a second, because I've never heard of something like this. I've spoke about the problem. We all speak about the problem, it's like these people don't even have a chance. You know, they're just it's a vicious cycle, in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of juvenile hall and detention. And I will tell you, I won't go into a long story about it, but I just took part in a very fun community event. We put on kind of like a Tonight Show vibe up at the community center. There was, a little over 300 people there, and it was all we put together this show all about Wilton and the community and the school. And during that process, I spent a little bit of time up at the school, and I had a chance to just be around some of the kids that are just in a different room. You know the room, and it's heartbreaking because you can just see so much pain in these kids, and you're like, I guarantee that when this bell rings, that kid is not going home to a good situation. You just know. Right. You just know. And shame on us for having a bad day and then get to go home to our house in Bettendorf and, kick our shoes off and sit in an easy chair and be like, oh, well, what a stressful day. Well, I don't think we really know how stressful of a day it is when we're going to the fridge to stuff our face and sit down and waller in our own misery. Right. And so what you're doing is very special, and it is a God thing. And you know that. You've said it 20 times already. It's a God thing. It's not a Jeremy thing. It's like, hey, we've only got so much time on this planet. Let's just do a little bit of good. Let's sprinkle a little bit of good. It doesn't mean we got to spend 24 hours a day planting gardens at City Park, but right. But you can do a little bit of good, even just like letting people know that you're trying to help them out. I would argue that a lot of people in your camp that you're trying to help, even if they never get that white picket fence, they're going to look at you and go, that guy at least went to bat for me. That guy was at least trying to help us out. Yeah, for sure. That's huge.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's talk about Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I always get a kick out of the effort that you put in at Christmas time. Your organization puts in at Christmas time with all of the lights. How many lights do you have hanging from that building at Christmas time?
I tried to get a count last year and I failed. I don't know, but it's a lot. It takes about a week to produce. You're a collector of toys.
Yes.
I'm a collector of toys and but mainly baseball, football, sport cards. It's something about when we grow up, what was cool to us back then is going to always be cool to us now. I would not be a successful card business because I only collect what I loved back then, right? I'm not collecting stuff that is now very popular, except for C.J. Stroud because, I'm from Houston and last night was pretty awful. But it was a rough night.
Yeah.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Chevy Chase, the lights. So when we started doing more and more lights, it's like, well, that's what I really want. I want that. I want lights everywhere. And just slowly and surely, it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's just, we love it. It really brings joy to me. When I leave, again, work after a hard day and I'm pulling out at night and it's dark and all the lights are on, I'm like, don't be an idiot. You got it pretty good. Everything's fine. It just brings joy to me. And I enjoy it. And so the team likes it. The community likes it. We have gotten more pictures from our snowplow company, our snow removal company at 2 or 3 in the morning. Kids out still taking pictures in front of the nativity scene, taking pictures.
That's great.
In front of the lights. So we know that the community resonates with it and likes it. And we're partnered with 180. They're another local ministry. And they have a enterprise department that kind of helps their participants create work and create jobs, and their lawn care enterprise is the one that does the lights for us. And so it's all people that have been dealing with addiction and are in this rehab program that are doing the lights. So it's really neat to see them, talk with them. It is about a week and a half of they're there every day, just going at it.
So Jeremy doesn't have all these in a box in his basement, and he drags them out every year and gets on an extension ladder. But that's great. There again, to the ministry, you're building like a self-oxidizing flame here, where one thing helps another, that helps another, that helps another, and so that almost makes it even more special that the fact that the company and the people that are stringing the lights are people that have had a raw hand dealt to them, and you're giving them that joy and that happiness on taking part in what I would consider now a Quad City staple at Christmas time. You know the torches and pitchforks you'd have at your door if you didn't have those lights up at this point, because that's what people look forward to that. Even people that don't live in the Quad Cities, right? Casey, you drive by that Chick-fil-A. We go into that Chick-fil-A, and it's just a neat thing.
I love it. Yeah, thanks for telling me that. I don't think I realized it until we had people like messaging us, like, why aren't the lights on? Or why aren't they on yet? When are they going up? When are you taking them down now? Like, we get a lot of feedback from the community that they appreciate it.
When did you become openly a Christian? Like, hey, I'm Jeremy, and I'm going to talk about God out in public, and I don't really care. I don't care if it's cool. I don't care if it's not cool, because I will say I feel a hint of Jesus is getting cool again. I really feel like over the last 3-4 years, Jesus is getting cool. And there's more, and I find myself speaking more openly about just how I feel in my heart. And I'm not afraid to say God out in public. Yeah. But I think we all kind of have that, and that's new to me. That's new within the last year. But what about you? Like, has it always been that way?
I hope so. I hope that it's so.
Like, were you raised in a Christian family? Like, at the dinner table when you were a kid, did you guys openly talk about Jesus and God in your home?
For sure.
Okay,
yeah,
tell me about that.
I grew up in a Christian home. My dad went to Dallas Theological Seminary, and he was a pastor, and he always did pastoral work, and then also worked in the school district. So he grew up as a math teacher in the 80s, early 80s, late 70s, 80s, and then went into administration, and then back into, after he retired from administration, retired as an educator, went back into the classroom to teach math again over the last 2 or 3 years. And so you want to talk about a difference in culture of education.
Yes.
Like, he's just like, I can't fail a student. I can't, like, there's really very few real consequences in that world. And so he could write a book on that. But we were always raised, Christian. My parents, they fought a good amount. And if I would get a Bible and walk between them, they would stop fighting. So I learned that as a young kid. I just go grab a Bible and walk right between them arguing, and they would stop the argument pretty quick. And so they raised us Christian. I went to a Christian college, and I think really I'm just overwhelmed at how inferior I am, that God uses me somehow in spite of me, that we're able to do things, and I don't know why. I don't know why God has done that, why he's, why you're one of his children, why I'm one of his children. Like, I don't really know what I've done to deserve that, but I'm just really aware of any gift that I have is from him. And I think Gallup StrengthsFinder actually helped me with that, because, every good and perfect gift is from God. And so then when I'm telling people, hey, here are your strengths, here's what you're good at, and they're like, oh, well, here's where that came from. So I just think I'm really aware of what God has done in me and what he's doing in spite of my shortfallings and my failings. Because I think that's where Christians get a really bad name is, I think the reason Jesus is getting cool, I'm going to go back a step. I think the reason Jesus is getting cool right now is because they've tried everything else. I mean, you can try anything and everything now. Yeah. And when that doesn't satisfy, you keep looking until something satisfies, and nothing will satisfy except him. And so I think that's kind of why you're getting this kind of turned back to, like, we've just tried stuff. I mean, we're getting into public schools with our curriculum that we would never have gotten into. It was because the educators have tried, and it's not really landing. And so I think as we have tried other things, as I've tried other things and just realized, man, nothing is working except when I'm operating under him. And so it's helped me feel pretty confident in talking about him. And
yeah, it's quite the journey when you just say, take over. And I'm going to go with whatever I feel like is right in this situation. And I know God's going to lead me in the right way. I'll give you one that just came to mind while you were talking. Probably 3 months ago, I don't even remember where I was at. It's irrelevant. But there was a lady probably about my age, and we were out in public, and she had something big and bold on her shirt, and it was something about God. It was something about God. I can't, like, I love God or something. And as I passed her, I said, I love your shirt. And I thought to myself after I walked past her, I'm like, I would never say that a year or 2, 3, or at any point in my life up till, like I said, about a year ago. And it feels good because it's unapologetic. Yeah. And it's not in a place of, I'm religious now. Look at me, right? Because some people love to wave that I'm a Christian, I'm religious, and to me that's almost the opposite of what it is in a way. So I don't know. I feel a shift that people are just becoming much more open and honest and realizing, and especially a lot of the things that we've all gone through over the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. You just get to a point where you're like, man, I need a hand here, and like I said, like you said, I've tried everything else.
Yeah. I think in COVID, I think we tried for a season to how can we control a virus that's uncontrollable? And we're do all these things. I'm not commenting on COVID, whether it's how we handled it or not, but just at the end of the day, we're not in control. We're not. A virus is going to virus. We got to decide, how are we going to handle ourselves when we aren't in control? And are we willing to submit and say, okay, I'm not in control. God, have your way. You do you.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor about you.
Okay.
And it was during COVID. As a business owner, the business owners that stayed open during COVID, and we were one of them, the government gave out what's called a PPP, where it was like a check. And if people are unfamiliar, the government was basically handing out money to businesses who were staying open during COVID, saying, hey, I know things are a little rough right now. Here's some dough to get you by. Right. Did you get some PPP money? And if so, did you use it within Chick-fil-A, or did you do something different?
Yeah, I got PPP money. At the time, it was something that we were told, anyone's eligible to do it, go get it.
Yes, so, we applied for it. Everyone applied for it. If you were in business, you're like, man, if the government's handing out dough, we're gonna apply for it here.
So we applied for it, got a big check, and it was a beautiful check
because it was based off of payroll. It was a percentage of how much money you're shelling out in payroll. And then you got that back. There was a formula that they used. Anyway, I'm just explaining to the... Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so you get a big fat check.
And but then it becomes really clear that one of the stipulations is you have to demonstrate sales decline.
Bingo.
And we were not. We shut down our dining room. So that was what was our original qualifier was, of course, 45% of our business has just gone away. And so we applied for it, we got it, and then sales skyrocketed. They became ridiculous.
You were in line for an hour at Chick-fil-A.
It was crazy. And so that was a very depressing day when I went back to the bank and handed them the check back.
It wasn't a rumor.
I never cashed it. I went and turned it back. Now, we did then apply for ERC money, employee retention credit money, which is not based on loss of business.
Different deal.
It was based on how to keep your employees employed.
Yes.
And so you got a kickback for part of that if you were to keep your employees, which we did qualify for, and we did. But yeah, that PPE money, when we made that decision, the original response when I realized it was the right thing to do was, no way, I will not return this money. It's in my name. Yeah. It is here. There's no way. But then over time, and I'm talking about time, a couple of days or a couple of days, it was just this is just not right. This, I don't qualify. I can do this. I won't feel right about it. And so it sucked, but it was the right thing to do. And
wow.
So it was not a rumor, but it was not an easy thing.
And we're not talking $4 or $5 grand here. We're talking big number because you've got a lot of payroll.
Yeah.
That's huge.
But it worked out. And we're still growing. We had a decline in sales. So 2020, 2021 were phenomenal growth. 2022, we declined a little bit. 2023, we don't really know because we were shut down for a good portion for a remodel. 2024 was great, and 2025 we're up still. And so the industry average for quick service is either flat or negative. Even Chick-fil-A's are like right above that, which is really not heard of in Chick-fil-A world. We only experienced big growth. But it's just a hard time. Our society's having a hard time. It's a difficult environment to do business in right now. And so now we are still growing, and we're still growing at a decent rate. It's not what we'd want, but it's good. And so we're content. We're pretty happy with it, especially when you look at it comparably to other businesses.
Let me go back to sending the check back real quick, because I love the nuts and bolts of this. Because I don't think the government is used to getting money mailed back to them if they didn't just take it out of your check in the first place. Did you experience any, what is that, how do you just send a huge check back to the government?
So we went back to the bank. So it was all those checks were issued through a bank. And so went back to that bank, said, hey, after all, I don't need this. And it was met with some confusion.
Did they look at you cross-eyed? Yeah.
There was some confusion. And I think also I was about to throw up. So it was not a good moment. But it ended up being where I felt like leadership is not hard. Just doing the right thing, and people will follow. And so I knew that in doing that thing, hopefully someone would appreciate that. And I knew I was doing the right thing for God at least. And so, I was pretty happy with it.
That's such an incredible story. I'll tell you, that one has been debated within my friendship circle. Nice. Like, there's no way. I'm sure somebody just started that through the church. And, right. So talk to me about, so you're a member at Coram Deo. Coram Deo. Sorry, I always say that wrong. Coram Deo. So for the people who are unfamiliar with Coram Deo, it is the big church that used to be the Best Buy, and I think it was then an Audio King or something like that, and then eventually
it was some other entertainment.
It was something else,
like a Best Buy.
Yeah,
it was a Best Buy. It was something like that.
Well, when I was a kid, it was a Best Buy, and then it became something else, but it was still in that same market, I guess, and then it was you guys. Can I be honest with you? Yeah. When the non-Coram Deo churchgoer talks about Coram Deo, it is sometimes believed this is one of those big mega cult churches where everybody does cartwheels up and down the aisle and the blind people are seeing and stuff like that. Just from because I go to the old guard Lutheran church, right? Yeah. So anyway, set the record straight, because I know personally a good amount of people that go to that church, and I can't find many flaws in those people. I don't feel any fakeness. I don't feel any showbiz. Hey, look at me, I'm Mr. Christian. Sure. But talk to me about the congregation, the church in general. How does it operate? And then I want to talk about this camp that you guys do during the summer. But just set the record straight on the church itself. If I were to go in for the first time on a Sunday, what am I going to experience there?
Yeah, so I think we're not a conservative church in the sense of conservative worship that I think you might be more accustomed to. And I
go to like a traditional Lutheran church.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. So you'll experience a invitation to worship, and so a worship band will get up there. It's more like contemporary music, and they will play 3 to 5 songs depending on the day. Usually 4 is usually what they're doing. And then you'll hear a sermon, and our pastor preaches what he calls exegetically. That's what the term is, where he just goes through a passage verse by verse by verse. And so it'll be, John's when we're in right now, and he's just going to go, he's in John 8, and just he'll do this many sections of the verse or of the chapter, and then we'll be done with the sermon, and the next week continue that on. And so it's just a continuation. So if you do look at members of Coram Deo, you will find some hypocrisy, right? Like, we're all sinners. We're all, so don't look too close. But
any church has that.
No, for sure. But the way the church is run is it's elder run. And so that means that there's a group of 9 men who are responsible for the church. They're responsible for the doctrine of the church. They're responsible for, so it's not one pastor. And I think that's where you can protect a church from becoming all about a celebrity church, all about that, where the celebrity pastor has more authority than anyone else in the church. This is run by a group of men together.
Oh.
Who make decisions by consensus. There's no voting. You just talk through an issue until it's solved, and you're all in unanimous. How would you say that word?
You're all in unanimously.
Yeah, unanimous. So that's how decisions are made in that church. And so I'm one of those elders. And so it's 9 of us. We meet every Wednesday. We have a meal together. We pray for the church and any needs of the church together. We look at the finances, make sure that they're good and that we're doing well, and make decisions about the church together. And it's all through consensus. And so there's not a celebrity pastor who is running amok or going sideways. It's just a group of guys who are trying to protect and do things right. And so I think that's what's helped us stay consistent and grow well is you're protected from that celebrity pastor who it's all about them. And then it becomes a pride issue. It becomes dark real quick. And you see that often. So,
well, we won't name the names, but we know the big celebrity pastors out there. And then you see that and right, wrong, or indifferent, you're kind of like, I think that's what Coram Deo is.
Yeah.
And because
it's large.
It's large.
Yeah.
Because how many people go? Like the average big Sunday service, how many got?
1,200, 1,400, something like that.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah. And so I think the other thing that they do really, really, really well is they have other ministries, discipleship ministries that they want you to get plugged into in order for a big church to be small. And so when you go in, they would encourage you to get involved in a small group where you and your spouse or their single groups too, where it could just weekly meet and go through the sermon, go through some notes, and then just have accountability together. Or a men's group. They have a men's group twice a week, a women's group twice a week, where you can just go and be discipled. You can just go and learn more about your faith. And so there are ways to make that big church feel like a small home. And then they started a school during COVID in 2020, and 3 of my kids were of the first 12 in that school. So it's during COVID where our kids are going every other day. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do now.
Yeah, and so one of the pastors, Grady, called and said, "Hey, would you be interested in sending your kids to Coram Deo Academy?" And we're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like brand new. But it was during the height of COVID, and so we decided they were doing full time at Hopewell Elementary School in PV, and then they were going on their off days to Coram Deo Academy. Just so 2 days a week at Coram Deo Academy, and then at Hopewell, and it just became really clear that we wanted to be at Coram Deo quickly. And so currently there's about 127 students this year, and I'm looking to grow it.
And these are full-time kids.
Yes, K through 12.
I didn't realize that there was a school there too.
Yeah, K through 12 and live teaching, and just it's awesome. We love it. Like we just it was probably one of the best decisions our family's ever made. But that's just another opportunity to disciple, right? You have all these discipleship groups, but then, hey, can we disciple younger kids also to know where science comes from, where history comes from, where math comes from? Like, because then they're looking at it from the perspective of, okay, atoms, molecules, neutrons, all that, God created that. Still the same science.
Yes.
From the perspective of this is all from God. And so there's a big difference in that. And so our kids have loved it. It's been really neat. So next year they hired an athletic director a month ago, 2 months ago. So there'll be basketball. I think it's going to be one of the first sports. And so,
that's fantastic.
your kids are in basketball. My kids are in basketball. And so they hired a gentleman who's going to help do that. So yeah, it's been neat. So I don't know what's going to happen with it, but it's been phenomenal.
You guys are going to outgrow that facility at some point.
Yeah.
Are you there already?
Yeah. So if anyone has a building they want to give, let me know.
Big building.
Big building. Yeah.
Big building.
Big building. And or land. We'll do land too. Whatever you want. You can pick.
So your kids now don't go to Hopewell. They go full-time to Coram Deo.
Yeah. And so
Coram Deo Academy.
Yep. And so they do that dual track to where a lot of the curriculum originally started from Liberty University. And originally in 2020, it was all online through Liberty University in Virginia. And then it turned into now we're using Liberty curriculum as, the curriculum that the teachers are teaching, but it's all live teaching. And so then the way that the deal works is if you want to, you can graduate with an associate's degree from Liberty. which my oldest daughter's 15, 2 girls and 2 boys. My oldest daughter's 15 and she's a freshman and she's doing that program. So hopefully in 3 years she'll graduate with an associate's, which is not a bad deal. I mean, we'll take that, especially with college prices right now. I don't understand what has happened to college prices. Like the math doesn't math.
The math ain't math in there. No.
Like it is beyond inflation, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And so having 2 years of that not to worry about would be a pretty good deal for us.
Yeah, that's a house of cards that is quickly crumbling, and we're watching it crumble in real time. And just because more people are sitting back with opinions of, 4-year universities aside, but just from the business aspect of it, it's like, does this make sense to have my kid go do that, and knowing that, man, that's a big hole to climb out of unless you're a star athlete.
Oh man, my wife and I, we paid for college up until our mid-30s. I mean, we were just like, it was at such a low interest rate, it didn't make sense to pay it off instead of doing something else, and so we just kept it. But it should not take you to your mid-30s to pay off debt to get educated.
While kids are going to Coram Deo Academy, how does that affect their athletics and the opportunities they would otherwise have if they were going to a public school?
Yeah. So up until this last year, right now we're all in Bettendorf still. So all of our kids play through Bettendorf because that's where our church is located and the school is located, is in the Bettendorf district. And so we have kids running track with them, playing sports with them as of right now. Eventually, we hope basketball is one of the first steps, but the goal would be that it just grows organically into its own thing. So we could be in a league with Assumption or with some of those other schools.
Sure. Yeah. So that's growing at a rapid pace. And speaking of growing at a rapid pace, the summer camp.
High five.
The High Five summer camp. If there's any parents watching this, the stress that all of us parents go through on sign-up day at high noon when the website goes hot. Because what happens is within High Five, it's a 2 weeks or 1 week?
1 week.
It's a 1 week summer camp that has all these different, what I would call I don't want to call it electives, but they're electives. Yeah. And so you can do anything from the skate park to, I believe there's like a flag football thing and maybe like a Nerf thing. I can't remember, but all I know is my kids, you got to pick your top 3, right? And because you're only going to do 3 things, right? And there's a ton to choose from. And once those electives are full, now you go to your reserve choices of I'll do those things. It is a stressful animal because like my kids are like, you gotta make sure, what's the one that everybody wants to get in? It's like an adventure one or something. Is it like the
trampoline park, maybe?
Maybe it's that. I can't remember. It's so stressful. I block it out of my memory. But it's like, you got to get me signed up for that. I'll tell you a quick story. Last year, so we live in Bettendorf, but we're here in Wilton, and I'm here most days. It was like 11:20, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get my laptop set up. I'm going to have everything ready to go so that way at noon I can log in and go. And I looked, and I had left my piece of paper at home with what my daughter wanted and what my son wanted. They had written it down for me in the order, so I had to pack up my stuff, race back to Bettendorf, and frantically get logged back in. It was like 11:59, and oh my gosh, it was something. But that's a testament to how great this camp is. And the electives aside, all of that, from the nuts and bolts part of it, how it runs is impressive. You pull into this parking lot with hundreds of kids and parents dropping them off. And I mean, it's a well-oiled machine. It's like this. An event just got done at the Mark. Yeah. You've got people directing traffic. You go here, and I've always been impressed with how it operates with the drop-off and pickup. And never once have I heard boy, that Coram Deo deal, man, what a rat's nest that thing is to try. And I think that's a testament to all the people involved. Well, of course it is.
Oh yeah. So I got the numbers from Erin Jewell. So Erin Jewell is our children's leader, and she's director. She's phenomenal. And she's like, talk about wanting to steal an employee. I think I might go to hell if I try to steal from the church. But she's like one of those who, like, her mind is so she's operationally gifted and organized, and that's just not where I'm at. I don't have those gifts. But she has done that. So last year, 555 kids and 420 leaders. So 420 people who volunteered a week to serve. Now, you can do a couple days here and there. You don't have to commit to the whole week, but the majority do a whole week of just serving. So it's basically just a VBS on steroids, right? Like, it's just gigantic. And I mean, kids are coming to Christ, but the majority of kids there don't go to our church. Like, the majority don't go. And so it's pretty neat to see too. Like, it's a community thing. Like, all are welcome. We'd love to have you. And we're going to do everything we can to serve your kids as much as possible.
Is there a tangible conversion rate that you guys look at to go, okay, we had this many kids and we know this percentage every year is probably going to say mom and dad are eventually going to come to church at least once to check it out. Does that happen?
I think last year there were 25 decisions for Christ. And so of those, 25 kids who went from death to life. So it's pretty amazing, but I don't think there's a correlation of like parents that then start coming to church or anything like that, but hopefully there would be. We want it to be a place that everyone feels welcome and no one feels condemned. No one feels like they can't find a home in our church. It's important to us. We want to, yeah.
How many people are on staff there? Between volunteers and...
I don't know.
Lots,
yeah.
I was just thinking, like, on an everyday Sunday, like, how many people are there helping make sure the thing runs smooth?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. They're more organized than I am. Like, I envy that gift. I don't have that gift. I don't know. Do you have the organizational gift?
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, no. No, I do not. I have the gift of convincing other people to help me get through my day.
100%.
And they have the gift of patience and grace.
Oh, I know. I have an office director who's been with me for about 17 years, I think. I know I make her mad. Like, I know for sure. Because what I'm good at, she is not good at, and I annoy her because the way I think, the way I process, the way I want to do things, and she's just nuts and bolts. Let's get it done and organized. And so praise God for her. But yeah, that's not my gifting. I assumed it wasn't yours either.
No, not even close.
Yeah. Usually visionary, leaders. But
so what's next for you? Like a year from now, if you look back, and what do you want to check off over the next 12 months that you would feel like, yeah, that was good. I accomplished that.
Man, two things right now. We have we're working on a small sport facility that you're going to help us outfit, I hope. And so it'll be pretty small and just somewhere for people to go and not only just train physically, but also train. We want to potentially even move our ministry into that building so that it can be a place where we hopefully grow some athletes, but also better adults, better men and women. So hope that gets done in a year. I don't know. We're still very much on the early stages of that. And then a buddy of mine, we started doing some t-shirts. And so I'm an introvert naturally, and my buddy's an introvert naturally. And if we're all, as Christians, told, you need to go tell others about Jesus, an introvert needs a hand, I think, in that. And so having just Christian t-shirts and sweatshirts that can help give you a competitive advantage in doing that.
So this is a separate business model.
Yeah.
Is there, and it sounds like it's still kind of in the embryonic stage, but do you guys like have a name? Do you have a thing that you're going to call it? Like what's
So the sport complex, not yet. And then the shirts, Legacy Inc. INK, Legacy Inc.
And so these, I would imagine, are Christian-based messages on a shirt that still looks cool.
Yeah. My buddy's an artist, and he's just really talented, and I'm not. And so it's just been a great joy for her to sit down with him. And like we had one that we worked on where it's just like, hey, what if we got that verse in Psalms that says, your word is a light into my path and a lamp into my feet? And we just did a picture of like old beat up tennis shoes. And so he just drew old beat up comic looking tennis shoes and then has the verse underneath it. So real simple, and then that gives an invitation. Have you ever done that executive health program at Mayo Clinic?
No.
It might be worth checking out. It's 2 days, 2.5 days, depending on just physical, but every aspect of like blood work, urinalysis, like everything. They look at everything.
Oh, okay.
And the executive part of it, they just condense it. So it's probably, I think I had, when I went there earlier this year, I think I had probably about 15 different doctor's appointments within 2 days. It was condensed so that you can do it all within a couple of days and have a really healthy snapshot of where you're at physically. And
so they basically find out like, this is exactly how your body works. This is the stuff that you should not be putting into your body because your body is reacting bad to it. Not because it's bad for you in general. It's your body doesn't like cheese or whatever, right? And unbeknownst to you, you've been eating cheese your whole life and you haven't really had any noticeable problems, but they're like from the inside, your body hates that. Is that what you're talking about?
They do that as well. They do everything. Like it's incredible. So I went to the eye doctor there. I went to physical therapy. I broke my knee in high school. I went to dietitian, did everything, like a full body workup. I mean, a stress test where they tested how my body processes oxygen when I'm stressed. And so on a treadmill, I told them, what's the shortest amount someone's been on this thing? They're like 20 seconds. So like, what's the longest? Like 20 minutes. So I got 11. So I felt pretty decent about myself.
Good.
But anyway, at that 2 days, when I wore a shirt, that T-shirt that had the shoes on it, and some guy in the lounge was like, hey, what does that shirt mean? And I was able to tell him about it. And so I just, as an introvert, I need help being extroverted. And so that helps me.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
This has been a great chat.
Hey, thanks,
I feel like we've had a chance to kind of really get to know each other, on another level, because there's layers to all kinds of relationships. And the hi there, bye there is sometimes, sadly, those conversations always just stay on that one plane. And you can go years, your whole life, and never get down to another level. And so that's what I love about this show is you can just kind of sit down, put everything on pause for 45 minutes or so, and just be like, let's just learn about each other. Yeah. And I feel like the record's been cleared a little bit on Coram Deo. I feel like for John Q. Public out there, it wouldn't be weird for him to walk in and say, hey, let me just enjoy my Sunday here and see what this is all about. Had no idea about the Academy. I think that's super cool. I think there's going to be people hear about that go, I want to check that out. I've just made it more stressful for me at high noon come sign up day because more people are going to be involved in that. And I enjoy this open and honest conversation with you. And thanks for being so free with it. So Jeremy Tatman, everybody, thank you for being on the at Joe Braymeyer Presents, powered by your friends here at Treadmill Heroes. I have to now I'm going to stay right here once we get done. I've got to do an announcement for the Pleasant View PTA because I joined the PTA, by the way. I wanted to get involved in a little bit. So
a force to be reckoned with.
Oh boy, I am a force to try to barricade up sometimes in those meetings, but there again, it's all with good intentions, and we all want best for our kids and families. So, Jeremy Tatman, everybody, thank you, sir.